Hello, welcome. We're back looking at Godot, the engine named after someone who is not there. And indeed, 3.0 took a while to get here, but it is here. We're looking at it. I believe this tutorial goes back to 2.0 because I seem to remember this image when I was looking at it 4 years ago. But right now, we're looking at a food metaphor. Not the first time this has been done for programming. There is, in fact, a programming language that is entirely based around writing code like recipes. This is not that, though. This is comparing nodes and scenes and the other elements of, well, primarily nodes to ingredients. It doesn't say to open the thing yet, but I'm going to open it. Looks like it'll take a minute anyway. So you have a node. A node in Godot has a name, it has properties you can change. You can take a callback to process every frame. That is a function, a bit of code, script that can run every frame, which is generally something, how often you want that to happen, to do things that are relevant to the object. It can be extended to have more functions, which is important. It can be added to another node as a child. And it shows you this rather visually, and you see that in the engine, in the editor itself, that a node can have children, as they're called, and those children can have children. It forms a tree structure. Don't worry if it doesn't click. Well, I think it's pretty simple, but hopefully all of this will make it as simple as it needs to be. Yeah, here's an example of how it looks in the editor. You have a player that has a sprite, a camera, animation player, audio player, collision. Another important concept is the scene in Godot. Scene has a root node, it can be saved and loaded, and it can be instanced. Instancing is where you basically make a copy of something, where you use something as a template. So you have the original that does not change, and then you make an instance of it that will then be allowed to change, that starts out the same as the original, but it is allowed to change and to have things added onto it or even taken away from it to be its own thing based on the original. And this is used in programming with classes and sometimes with other sorts of data structures. Under the hood, they're probably using some sort of class to instance things. So yes, running the game in Godot means running a scene. So basically Godot is a scene editor. Here's where it tells us to reopen the project made for the tutorial in the previous step that was covered in my previous video. And we'll add a hello world message, which is a traditional programming exercise. I've already gone through and done this and then rolled it back so that I know exactly what I'm doing. Although it's not complicated, this is still early days. So we're going to add a label node. But before we do that, we must add a root node. In an empty scene, gives you some options to quickly add a root node. 2D scene is the same as adding, as far as I can tell, adding a node 2D, because that's the name it comes up with when you click this. You can click here or here to add any kind of node you want. And you can go to favorited nodes because, as you may notice, there's a fair amount of these, but then under these you have, a bunch, and then under node 2D, a bunch more, and then those have some subcategories and so forth. There are a couple of long lists going on here. But we're just going to click 2D scene, and then we're going to click, you can click here, that will put a node under the top level node, or you can right click the node that you specifically want to create a child to and click create child node or add child node. And it's going to ask you what it is. Well, we're adding a label. You can actually search for it. I happen to know where it goes. It's under control. You can double click or click and create. Now this isn't like a text box, but the way it displays is like a text box, but you can't use it like that on this viewport here. What you have is all this stuff that came up over here. You can see there's a bunch of stuff here that you can expand and contract, customize what's going on. The important part for us right now is this text field, as it says right here. Yes, and you'll also notice that it went from 3D to the 2D view when we added that because it is a 2D element. So, just type in hello world. I believe the exclamation point is traditional. We don't need to enter. Yeah. So you can see it displaying there. If I click off it, then you can see it a bit more clearly without the boxes and things around it. So now you can click play scene to view the current scene, except it has not been saved. So you could save it from there, or you could do save scene or save scene as. Let's do save scene as. Although it would ask for the name regardless, like when you're saving a new file. And the tutorial wants you to notice that, and it is kind of important, the res specifier. It's like a protocol specifier in a web address or an internet address here. The res here means that it is within the project. It's short for resource path. And it will save the file as a .tscn. I don't know what the T means. The SCN is pretty clearly scene. And I will just call it hello.tscn as it suggests. I believe that's what it suggests. Doesn't matter. And just a little note, if it doesn't work after you do that, then you're going to want to go to project and project settings, display window, allow high DPI. But we will get to this. Right now we can click play scene. It will save again for some reason. It will load up, get set up, because there is overhead for this being a proper engine. And there we go, hello world. And there's nothing that we can do with this right now because all it does is display that label. We can just close it. Now it's time to configure the project, which changes things in a broad-ranging way. It points out that the project configuration is stored in project.godot, which is right here under the root directory of the folder that you put things in. You'll also notice the tscn file in here. You'll notice this file. You also notice an icon, which is also listed here, which by default is the Godot icon, but you can just replace that. So you change project settings by going to project settings, simple. And oh boy, there are a lot of things. What we're looking for is application and run. The first option under that main scene, which is the main scene that runs when is the first one, or yeah, the one that will be loaded when the project runs. So we'll click the folder here. It's the scene we just created, so just double click that. A nice little feature is that you can click this little button here, this back arrow, and it will reset whatever you changed back to how it was when you opened the project settings. So let's just do that again. Close. Save. Save early, save often, they say. And now you can use the regular play button that runs the entire game or the entire project. So F5 is that. It saves, it prepares. Hello world. And that is really it for right now. Fairly simple. It will build as we go forward and will build upon itself so that each step is not too much harder than the previous one. Hope you enjoyed step 2. There will be more. I'll see you next time.